Welcome to another episode of the Terri and Frank Show. If you tuned in last week, we explained what belonging is. You realize we've started a series on belonging. And as we get going here, this is your first episode with us. Why don't we do some quick introductions, Tara?
Yes, thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you. My name is Terri Mays, and I'm a certified culture engineer with experience creating environments that bring out the best in people.
Hi, and I'm Frank Wander. I'm the founder of People Productive, and I'm a human performance engineer that also brings out the best in people. So we're here to share how to bring out the best in people by using belonging as a tool in your environment.
Right.
Um, I hope you stay tuned. I hope you saw last week we talked about belonging. What is it? This week we're going to go through the very beginnings of belonging, which is, the need to get the people who work for you to think about or to start putting down roots as a metaphor. I think that's an important metaphor. And next we're going to talk about how to get the roots to grow. So, Tara, let's get into it.
Yes. So a lot of the feelings, so we talked about how belonging is a feeling. So you want people to feel like they are connected to the organization. They have a place, that
Mhm.
they don't have to compete or fight for their place or role in the organization, that you have made as a leader, you have made a space for them, and they can feel safe in that space, knowing that they have a specific skill set, that they are there to perform a particular role that will actually add some benefit to the company. You don't want people to feel like they have just busy work to do all day. You want to make sure that people feel like they have something that's valuable to work on, that it's meaningful work. So, can they really put down roots, like Frank said, but really trust the organization? Is it a place where they feel safe? Can they stay connected in this particular organization?
That's right. Are they going to germinate? They make those decisions early on. I think that, humans, it's life and it mirrors what goes on in the living world. And humans, they do put down roots and decide to stay in places. And what is it that makes that really come about? There are a lot of things that prevent the roots from actually starting to germinate and short circuit a sense of belonging. One of them is that lack of safety. So, what do you have to do to create a place where somebody feels safe, wants to be connected? That whole notion of psychological safety. You're not going to be threatened in any way. It's a safe place for you to operate. You have a sense of really what's going on. People are being transparent and open about things. There are many factors at this level that that need to fall into place in order for the root growing process to really start. And you want your people to take root in your organization. There's no question about it. Ted?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You want people to feel connected, like they have a sense of belonging here, that I belong here, and
Mhm.
people want me here. So a lot of these things that we'll talk about really overlap. There's lot of just a lot that people need in order to be successful in the organization. So you need to make sure that there's that sense of connectedness, and that you are doing your part as a leader to make sure that they belong, that they feel connected, that they aren't being left out of things, that especially as a new person coming onto a team, you want them to be included. You want them to feel like they are welcome there, that they belong there, that you want them there. So, and this feeling cannot be manufactured. It can't be faked. You can't just kind of fake it till you make it, so to speak, like people have said before. These things aren't things that you can fake. You really have to have that genuine, sincere caring about the people, and and people will know when you don't have that genuine caring, when you are just trying to put up a facade or make it seem like the organization welcomes you, but really and truly, you don't really care about it. You really, in order to have that caring culture, that place where people feel like they belong, you really do have to care about it. Because it is a living organism, just like Frank said, it's really a live, living organism.
Oh, no doubt about it. So, once they feel safe, Terry's right. You've got to then, the next decision is, do people care about me here? Yeah, it's safe here, but do they care about me here? And, all of these things are happening, whether it's conscious or unconscious, because these are feelings that people pick up from all the signals that are happening and all the behaviors in the place, and whether or not people are warm with them. Um, they people judge your leaders first by warmth, then by competence. So it's interesting. They want that warmth in the place in order to trust the others. They want the warmth from the coworkers. And all of these things really start to, create that sense of belonging that, I could put roots down here.
Yeah.
It's a place where I really could start to take root. And, here is a tree that's deeply rooted. This is a very, very deep sense of belonging. That's what you have here. Very, very deep sense of belonging.
Right.
So we go back to Terre, and that is where you want your folks to end up. And the $1 million question is, how do you get the roots to not only start to sprout, how do you get them to grow really long? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this series. That
Yes.
it's belonging, just inclusion's not enough.
Right.
Important, but that is one piece of it. And that actually comes after caring, because
Right.
people want to know you care about them, and then they're open up to everything else. And that's when the rooting really starts to take place.
Right. People need to have a voice. They need to feel like they can be heard and that their voice matters, that they have an opinion, they can share it, and they're not being penalized for having a different opinion than everybody else, but that they're welcomed.
Mhm.
Their difference of opinion is welcomed and it's appreciated. All of that has to be in the environment for people to really feel safe and have that sense of belonging, that sense of I fit in this organization. So when you have
Yeah.
people that feel like they don't fit, then you really create an environment that's almost the opposite of having that caring culture because people start to withdraw. And as they withdraw, they kind of create their own subculture in the culture. And that may or may not be a good thing. It depends on the personality, right? So if you've got a very disruptive type personality, they'll begin to disrupt the whole environment because they feel like they don't belong or they don't fit in the organization.
Yeah, subcultures can create an us and them mentality. Subcultures can, begin to build walls up when people become too tight. And, humans will do that to protect themselves. They'll find a group of people in an unsafe environment that they can
Right.
really connect with. And
Right.
there's, strength in numbers. So humans do it just naturally.
Yeah. Because everybody wants to feel like they're not the odd man out, right? So nobody wants to feel like they're an oddball that doesn't really fit. You're going to gravitate towards people where you feel like you have things in common that you can share things with. But you also want to make sure that people that you don't have things in common with, that you can create an environment where it's still safe to work in that space,
Yeah,
even if
100%.
you don't have things in common. You may find something on a work level, professional level, where you have things in common, even if you don't have things in your personal background that are in common. So you
Yeah.
still have to have that space where people can work. And I think, we kind of mentioned this before about the vibe, but you pick up on that vibe when you walk in the room, when you're in the interview, when you're talking to different people in the cafeteria or, wherever you are, you pick up on the vibe of the organization by just having interactions with people in the organization.
Yeah. And, who doesn't interact with you?
Right,
Uh,
right,
who you would expect to based on kind of work proximity and things that, would make it natural for people to come over and be a little more inclusive.
right. And
So,
sometimes you have to go out of your way to be more inclusive.
mhm.
It's not enough to have just the person there and say, okay, we checked the box, we have people of color, or we have women, or any other minority group.
Oh,
It's not enough just to check that box, but to actually include that person in what's happening in the organization. Give them a valuable role and then listen to what they're saying. Because the
yes,
reason that you want that diversity and inclusion is so that you get to some space and innovation where you probably never would have gotten to that place if you didn't have some opposing views, if you didn't have different perspectives. all of that plays into the innovation and just the things that you can create in an organization when you have different perspectives.
Oh, that's right. It's a different perspectives that start to bring people up to a higher level. It's almost like a group of instruments jamming. When you get one of those jam sessions going, a lot of people playing an instrument, you could see they're just tuned into the vibe of everybody and they take the music to a higher level.
Right.
And you can have a meeting like that where a group of people with somewhat different perspectives, they start to play off of one another. It's called creative abrasion, and new ideas start coming and they flow. And pretty soon they're all at a level together that they weren't going to get to alone. And that's what
Right.
you want. You want
Right.
a type of, deeply inclusive, open, candid environment with that deep sense of belonging where people feel totally safe to say, whatever's on their mind in a polite, respectful way.
Right. And that's why these things matter. That's why belonging matters. That's why caring matters. That's why any of these things matter, because you're trying to create the optimal organization to produce results. So you can actually tie these things to business outcomes
Mhm.
and see how your organization can grow and improve just by focusing in on the sense of belonging or the sense of caring in that organization. You can actually change how you're delivering services based on that. So these are very important things that often get overlooked. They often are seen as, the soft side of business that doesn't really matter, but they matter a lot.
They're huge. I mean,
Yeah,
in a new era of work where, people are the most important tool in every company, the fact that so many leaders really don't know how to operate the human infrastructure because they've never spent time to think about it and don't realize that belonging is a tool and they should understand what it is and they should be able to create it.
right.
They should. There should be no question about how to create it, and they should, absolutely push back on environments where people don't have a sense of belonging. The other leaders, they should be pointing it out and saying, I don't understand why people here don't feel more deeply included, why they don't think the company cares about them, why we don't have more helping behaviors. Those are the things that really matter. And every leader should be encouraging the people to achieve just absolute highest levels of performance by coming together in a deep, belonging kind of way.
Yeah, I've seen those helping behaviors come in handy firsthand just by, being on project teams where, and I've been in IT all of my career, but you're on these project teams where the deadlines are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're on a testing team and you have a very short amount of time to get a lot of test cases completed. And when you can get teams that can function together, you end
Oh,
up being
awesome.
able to produce so much more. You can get so much more done than if you had all of the individuals just working independently and not working together. You may have a group that focuses on one set of cases, and you may find that you can identify more defects just because everybody is focused together and we're working together to achieve the goal. But when you've got people that are just kind of working in their little silos, sometimes it creates more of a problem than it does. You can't get work done faster that way for sure. You
No, no.
definitely can produce much more when people are not in their silos. They're not just working off independently, doing their own things. I've seen that firsthand where coming together and focusing in on a few set of tasks together as a team, you can definitely accomplish way more.
So next week we should talk about some of the little, caring and the little b belonging behaviors that really start to get the roots growing because this is,
Yeah.
this stuff matters and everybody tuning in should be doing it, helping coworkers create a sense of belonging, and the leader should be helping everybody in their organization do it. And helping all these things are huge. So, I think that's a good beginning to belonging, right? To get
Yes.
that sense of understanding going about where does it begin? How do you start to initiate a sense of belonging in the organization? And then we're gonna keep going until you understand how to build really deep roots across your whole organization. So, Tara,
Yes.
anything else you want to cover today?
I would just say in closing, just to make sure that you're being genuine with whatever you're trying to do. That authenticity has to come across, and people can sense what you're feeling internally. And if you're trying to fake it till you make it, you're going to come across as a fake.
You
So
are going
that's,
to fail. There's
yeah, you
no
definitely
question.
don't want to be that fake leader that's trying to imitate something that you saw. You really do have to find something and some way to connect with people so that it can be a genuine connection where they really feel
Yeah,
that warmth from you and they feel that you really care about them.
yeah, big time. And that warmth and caring goes a long way. So next week we'll talk about caring. What is it really? How does that start to drive belonging? Um, and we didn't cover fairness and equality, which is really part of creating a safe environment. So
Yes,
we'll
yes,
talk about that a little bit as well, because that is super important. And we hope to see you next week.
yes. Thank
Bye.
you for joining.
Terri and Frank. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.